start. Sir, then comes the question of employment and self-employment training scheme. For this purpose, a number of schemes have been launched. Now, without taking the time of the house too much, I would like to say that one scheme promotes organizations, cooperatives, corporations, and so on, and gives them some sort of training in transportation of cement, fertilizers, and other things. In other words, things which can be organized under the auspices of the government or public sector undertakings are covered under this scheme. This is one kind of activity. The other scheme, and an important scheme which is a new scheme, is self-employment for ex-servicemen. This has been formulated with the help of the Industrial Development Bank of India and launched on 1st April 1987. Now, this scheme contemplates a package of entrepreneurial training, technical assistance, loans and term loans from state financial corporation, banks and the IDBI. While I do not think I should take the time of the house in giving the details of this scheme, I would certainly like to tell you that there will be collateral security for the term loans other than the assets of the project. The scheme will be implemented in a decentralized manner, and that the ex-servicemen here are a specific target group. So I hope this scheme will help them considerably. Para. Then there is the other area of concern for ex-servicemen, and that is the concern for their pension. Pension sanction procedures have been simplified and computerized. Over 80% of the persons retiring now are receiving their pension payment orders in the month of retirement itself. The remaining will be given provisional pension at least, and we will make efforts to see that the payment of final pension to them is also expedited. Sir, I would like to mention that another scheme was introduced in 1st April 1987 for the ex-servicemen. Under this scheme, where a pensioner decides to draw pension from a bank, the pension payment order will be sent directly to the bank of the pensioner's choice. The bank will credit the pension on the 1st of every month and claim reimbursement from the government later. I hope the House will welcome this. Para. Sir, a point was made by some honorable members in regard to equal rank, equal pension. This point was considered by the 4th Pay Commission. The 4th Pay Commission has not found justification for equalization of pension on a rank to rank or post to post basis, irrespective of the date of retirement, as it would mean application of the revised scales of pay or emoluments retrospectively. The honorable members may be aware about the recommendations of the Pay Commission. This is the other aspect which the House should take into consideration. This is in regard to the minimum pension and minimum family pension, which was rupees 300 per month. We have increased it to rupees 375 per month. Para. Sir, the minimum pension has been increased to rupees 375 per month with effect from 1st April 1986. This will benefit so many retiring Jawans and ex-servicemen para. Sir, many pay commissions have been appointed since independence. This is the 4th pay commission. It is for the first time that the question of pension for ex-servicemen was referred to a pay commission. Therefore, there has been a departure from the past. This matter has been considered. Certain arguments have been adduced. Arguments have been adduced by the pay commission also. We will go into all these points which have been raised by the honorable members. I also will look into these points again, but I have given you the present position and the present facts as they are. Para. Then, sir, there was the question of self-reliance and self-sufficiency. Points of that kind were rightly raised by many members. I want only to give a certain perspective to this question. Sir, we are all equally interested in it, but in a matter like defense, where technology sometimes moves very fast, where the expenditure made on defense production, research and other aspects of trials, development of weapons, etc. is enormous. In some of the developed countries, their voice to aim at self-sufficiency may be too ambitious. I think we should aim at self-reliance, and we should aim at self-reliance particularly in the critical defense areas that we should aim at, and we should also keep in mind the fact that if we weaken the process of economic development or distributive justice, then also we weaken the defense of the country. The defense of the country is not just armaments, it is economic growth, it is the stability of our polity. All these things together make up the defense of the country. So, a certain balance will have to be kept, and we will have to keep our resources in view. I think that for the time being, some amount of import is necessary. There is no alternative to it, but we will have to always keep in mind the facts that the items which were critical to our defense are manufactured as far as possible in the country, that the vendors from whom we purchase are reliable and will not let us down at critical period. This also we should keep in mind. Sir, there can be no self-reliance without indigenization. It has therefore been the constant endeavor of the production units to rapidly and progressively manufacture equipment, components and raw materials required for the production needs within the country. Honorable members would be happy to note that in the total value of production of the ordnance factories during 1986, the import content in terms of value was as low as 2% as compared to 9% in the previous year. That is a fairly rapid pace of indigenization. There is close interaction between research and development. Stop.